Hey y'all, it's your girl Faith. It's your girl Faith, being weird and eccentric, being weird and eccentric. Hey y'all, that's gonna be in the bloopers. So I'm gonna try to make this short, but I'm also gonna try to flow with what my needs are, the release that's needed, the revelation I had. Yeah, let God do his thing. God go do the thing. So I wanted to focus on anger, something that I'm not in therapy currently at the moment, but I have been acknowledging. I have acknowledged in therapy, but I also didn't get to dive in deeper due to the abrupt stop that I had to do, switching jobs and things like that, insurance, what a scam, and just a lot of the alone time with staying at home with my son. So the purpose of this is to acknowledge my side of things. You know, acknowledgement is key to revolutionizing and reframing your mindset to bring up subconscious things to the conscious, but also the flip side of acknowledging things, situations, peoples that have also ignited the flame of anger. I'm trying not to be awkward in this, but it is an uncomfortable topic because we're just gonna dive deep or dive right into it. As far as anger, I was raised as a child who was definitely taught, I noticed a lot of cultural aspects as well of being a black woman, but I was raised to be seen, not heard, to also just be nice. Just be nice. And what therapy has taught me in that is in being nice is essentially making the other person feel comfortable. Don't say mean things because of this. Don't say mean things because of that. Make sure you are a nice young lady and hold your head up, or whatever the case may be. I'm just using that as an example. And realistically, it suppressed me, and I don't even think it was intentional, like, to be mean. So this is no shade or disrespect to my parents at all, but this is just an acknowledgement of, because of that narrative, I was suppressing a lot of uncomfortability or a lot of emotions, a lot of heaviness that as a child, I didn't understand why I was feeling that. And I didn't really have anybody to kind of dig deep into that, because then on top of the narrative of being nice, there was a narrative of, oh, you're too much. Oh, it's not that deep. That's my favorite one, because that still triggers me to this day, to be honest with you. It's not that deep. Pause. Just because it's not deep to you, or you don't have the capabilities of diving in deep, or you don't want to take the time to even understand my side, that does not make it not deep for me. In other words, it's invalidating to tell someone it's not this. You shouldn't be feeling this. Shoulda, coulda, wouldas. That is invalidating. Whether you think something is stupid, something entirely ridiculous, like, that is how somebody feels. Now, I'm not saying you can't go into proactive measures and saying, let's think about things this way, but you have to acknowledge first. For me, you have to acknowledge first. So then I am able to understand that, okay, you've heard me. You might not agree. That's the thing. You might not agree, but you have heard me and taken the time to create space for me to just be seen, to be heard. Because at the end of the day, something I've always been acknowledging in a lot of the videos, that's just human connection. Every human being, I don't care how much of a front of I don't care, I don't give a fuck, I don't give a blah, 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 blah. It is human. It is human to want to feel seen and validated with whatever you're feeling. That is what is missing in this world. And the reason of that is most people are looking at for me, let me not generalize. For me, so I had the background of the childhood of narratives that was taught into that. Again, it wasn't malicious. That's just how it was raised. So I had that carrying on, and then you add on experiences that I don't even have enough time to dive in, of narratives being thrown into me as well. And then I wasn't in therapy then. Therapy was not something you went to. You went to Jesus. And don't get me wrong, I am all about spiritual growth. I'm all about acknowledging and bringing your burdens to God, to praying, meditating, music, all of that. However, there is a sense of it's okay to, what am I trying to say? It's pretty much okay to go to therapy. It's okay to go to help groups. It's okay to get community-based resources as another piece. And I wish the church would teach this. There's a lot of churches that are now, and as far as the millennial era, but as far as the church I was in, that was not discussed. Again, this is no shade. This is just truth. So I had this buildup of anger, which led into the be nice and all these experiences to not make people uncomfortable with your truths, led to extreme people pleasing. I was an extreme people pleaser, and I am still undoing it to this day. I didn't want to step on toes. I cannot even tell you how many uncomfortable situations I put myself in, and how many times I sat in social settings, I sat in people's homes, I sat in people's whatever the case may be, and I was so uncomfortable. And a lot of people, or even me, I realized I took it as, oh, I'm just anxious. I'm anxious because I'm not opening that throat and speaking and saying, hey, X, Y, and Z. Now, here's the thing that I had to learn. That also pairs with boundaries. But because I was not executing my voice, that literally started rooting and allowing a spirit of anxiety to come in, and I didn't even understand why. On top of anger, like, I would be so sporadic. I can fully say that when I am angry, first of all, it came off as passive aggressiveness, instead of just speaking and being firm in what I say. I'm not saying being an asshole with it. Now, I am responsible for how I deliver it, but I would be very passive aggressive. I would be very snarky, critical. Oh my God, I was so critical. Judgmental, because realistically, I was reflecting what little faith or the subconscious versions of me that were angry or had all these feelings that I couldn't hold onto other people, if that makes sense. And so the power of deliverance, this is where God comes in, the testament for sure. The power of deliverance, because I was afraid of confrontation. And as one of my good friends just posted in his podcast too, confrontation does not mean conflict. And because therapy helped me unpack that deep-rooted issue of where it was stemming from, I was able to realize that, I didn't have a very confrontational mom. She taught me another narrative was to keep the peace. Keep the peace. That's the Christ-like thing to do. That's the Christian thing to do. And although there is a power and strength, what I think she really was trying to teach me was not being so reactive. Not saying that I couldn't, at the end of the day, I still have to learn how to advocate for myself, to implement boundaries. But I can do it in a way where if I learn to essentially control my emotions and learn how to not be so reactive, then that way I'm keeping the peace for parts of me internally. I'm not keeping the peace just to make you feel uncomfortable, because that's what I did my whole life. And anger was sporadic. When I felt it. And honestly, there was no reason or rhyme in doing it. I would have blowouts, and I would acknowledge things from 5 years ago over a situation that was current, and it didn't make sense to people. So then that reinforced, man, if I speak up, they ain't gonna understand me. So then I suppressed myself even more, and there was just layers and layers and layers of suppression. And then I had a layer of, well, I need the validation. So I have to give in order to receive that love. And then when I didn't get it, there goes anger again. I'm telling you, a testament to what God can do, how God can restore the heart, how if you take the accountability and willing to sit in heavy emotions, I'm not saying stay down there, but you can restore every ounce of your subconscious thinking, every ounce in the bitterness of your heart, because I was carrying that. I was carrying that, and I would mask it with the nice persona. When I wanted to be likable, I wanted to be, the goofy person, and to make everybody else smile, when inside I was like, I was crying. Because if anybody knows anything about anger, anger is just the iceberg. This is a basic psychology 101. 100, actually. Anger is the iceberg, which really is the tip of deeper rooted issues. So, for example, it might come out as anger, but realistically you're hurt, you're sad, or you are felt betrayed, or whatever the underlying issue is. This is where sitting with yourself and really acknowledging behaviors and allowing people to tell you about yourself, that can be tough. Because sometimes with people, like, well, for me, when people told me about myself, I took it as a threat. I took it as a threat. They're out to get me. They don't want to like me. They don't want to, whatever the inner critic in my brain was telling me, it then came out as anger, and I was lashing out. And then I didn't understand, well, why don't they want to be around me? Well, Faith, you was being an asshole. Realistically, you was being sensitive. I don't like saying that because I embrace being sensitive now. I'm a highly sensitive person. A lot of that was a trauma-based response, but I also understand that I'm sensitive to my intuition and allowing God to speak through me. And I honor that now. So there was a difference of sensitivity. I was sensitivity because it was sensitivity in the past because I was just reactive. Nobody could tell me anything. And that's not a good, that just wasn't healthy. I have to be able to take some type of criticism in order to learn. That's in business. That's in just self-growth. That's in every aspect of who you are and who you want to become. And the reality is, people would say things like, you're so kind, you're so nice, you're a good girl. These things that I didn't realize were really sticking to me, that I had to play this part in order to seek the love and the validation of whatever I was feeling, even though I didn't have no words for it. I felt it, but I didn't have no words for it. So the difference between then and now, and growth and God and therapy is, well, first of all, I was a ticking time bomb, okay? The difference now is my intention behind it. Am I helping this person? Because God had to restore my heart in that. And the reality is, love is something that everybody deserves. Love is an aspect of being of who I am. And my intentions were always good. The drive behind it was not. I didn't need to help just in order to feel love. If you're going to help somebody, do it because that's just the loving thing to do. That's the kind, gentle-hearted, genuine, authentic thing to do. Are you doing this because you feel obligated to do it because they did something nice to you and you feel like, oh God, I have to? Because I felt like that. But then there would be anger underlying because I was like, real time, I ain't want to do that. And so boundaries. So realizing my intention in doing things. Realizing boundaries. Do I have the capabilities of presenting and being who this person wants me to be? And that's just simply faith. If that's not the case, then so be it. I can't put on a mask or a facade in order to please your feelings and your opinions. I have no problem making space for you. We all need that. We all deserve that. And I'm a big advocate for transparency. But when it's going to cost me peace, or it's going to cost me to lose sleep, or whatever the case may be, then I can't have it. My name is Bennett and I'm not in it. And I allow God to speak through me now. I'm not so quick to rush up and help people and, sacrifice myself, my mental health, my well-being for the sake of others. Sometimes when I am called to help, I do understand that sacrifice is going to be needed, time, work. But when it's aligned with what God wants me to do, then it brings me peace still. It doesn't bring me discomfort or anxiety. And that's when trusting my intuition came into a play. And I'm still learning how to cultivate that. Sometimes I second guess myself. Sometimes I'm like, should I? Could I? But it's all a matter of listening to your body, listening to my body. And it's something that is attainable. As I learn to sit in a process of ease, I can understand what peace actually is and what's not. So if my body is not in a state of ease or contentment, then I'm not doing it. I'm not. And the thing that I'm learning now is not always understanding the why. Just trusting that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's okay. And that doesn't take away the love and the genuine, authentic things that I'm trying to portray. It doesn't take away the mindset that I'm unlovable. I'm not. Or yeah, I'm not. My brain kicking in. But I know a lot of other women feel this way. But I'm here to encourage you, especially if you're a people pleaser. I'm here to encourage you that you are not ridiculous for expressing or experiencing anger. It's just merely the parts of you that you never allowed to come out, or they never were given space to come out. It's time. It's time.